Give some tips to improve this. Sure thing, dude. If you want to submit some art for me to critique, just DM me on Twitter. I'm at Peter Milko. Sorry I haven't made a video in a while. I'm recovering from COVID. That's why I sound so badass right now. This dragon is pretty cool. My biggest problem with it is there's too much black and there's a lot of doubles. Doubles is when you have pixels kind of like over here where they're like overlapping and stuff. So for example, this pixel here should not be here. You see, there's stacked, there's doubles. So for example, we could put that pixel there and it would achieve a very similar vibe. Maybe put that pixel there. So there's a couple doubles that we can get rid of, but the biggest thing that I think would help you is to remove some of these black outlines, so that way it's easier to see kind of what's where. Here we can see this leg. It looks the shape of it looks a little wonky. I think this is the shape of the leg, which is kind of odd. It's not perfect, but whatever. I'm sorry I laughed at it, all right? But don't take it personal. I'm gonna remove some of these lines here. It's gonna decrease the confusion because you see how now the back looks like it goes into the tail. However, it does look kind of chunky. Chunky! I'm gonna smooth this out a little bit like that. And maybe even more. And now the leg, it looks like it starts extremely high up and it's touching the arm. I try to make body parts not really touch each other. So, and I see you have these two different colors from the body and the leg. That's really good because it differentiates between the two. But I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna move this leg down a lot. I don't think the leg needs to go this high up. So I'm gonna remove all this. This part of the leg looks really odd, and whenever you're drawing, it's great to draw from your head and just make shit up, but it's also great to copy or mimic, you know, nature and references. So on Wikipedia, I found a picture of a dragon. This is what they look like. Check out this dragon, dude. Look at his nose, man. What is it? What is this? Is it spewing blood out of his neck? What is going on? It has eyeballs on the wings. Now this is what dragons should look like in Game of Thrones. They got it all wrong. Look at that tail, man. But I do think this leg is actually a really good example of the shape you should go for. You see that? You got this big thigh and then just one kind of like elbow joint area thing. Okay, so we're gonna redo this whole leg. I'm gonna make the brush big and I'm gonna grab this color, and so we're gonna give this thing a big thigh. I think something like that is good. And I'm just trying to put chunks of color here. I'm gonna lower the size now back to 1. Now the shape is gonna be something more like this. You see that? And all these doubles that I got, let me show you what you can do. You can click Pixel Perfect, and now all those doubles are gone. It's a really cool feature in Sprite. There's a link in the description if you want this program. I get a tiny little kickback if you buy it through that link. I'm not sponsored by them. The developer got mad because I kept asking him for free keys because I've been giving out free keys left and right. So I'm making the nails a little bit bigger, kind of to match the ones over here. And I think there was a claw back here, right? There was, yeah. So I'm gonna add that back. So now I'm just doing really simple shading, which is I'm putting the darker green on the outsides of the fingers, the toes. And whenever you're trying to make something round, you can put the shading on both sides. Yo, that's a fat toe. Let me decrease the size of that toe. I mean, the one on the other side is pretty big too, but let's shrink this a little bit. So let me just show you what I was trying to say earlier, which is this. A lot of times I see people shade something, like let's say they're shading this toe here. Hold on, I gotta make the nail bigger. Okay, and then maybe okay, whatever. That's good enough for now. Maybe like gotta get every pixel perfect. Okay. So when I see people shading, a lot of times they only shade one side like this, right? Or they shade like a lot on that side, kind of like this, which isn't too bad, you know, whatever. Starts giving it some kind of form. However, when things are round, something that you should do is put shading on both sides. So for example, here on the leg, I'm going to shade both this side and this side. See that? And it makes a lot of things look better when you do that. And then sure, you can add more shading to create more form. So for example, if we wanted this part of the leg to kind of look like it's bending down, inward or whatever, we would add a lot of shading here. And now it looks like it's bending in, you know what I mean? Same with this, there should probably be shading here. Honestly, it's kind of odd that there's lighting in this section. I would have probably put lighting here near the outside and the top. This part right here would probably be pretty dark. Super quick tip. See how I'm moving my artwork around in the preview staying still? There's a little button there, and if you click it, it'll also move your preview around. The highlight could go right here. And what you can do with highlights, what I like to do with highlights is also use it as an opportunity to add texture. So check this out. You know, if I do something like this, it might look kind of like messy here, but look at the preview. It looks kind of like the dragon has some rough skin, some grooves in the skin, you know? What I'm gonna do is, I don't like putting outlines on the inside of a lot of artwork, so I'm gonna take this brown color and I'm gonna lower the opacity to, I don't know, maybe like halfway. And now I clicked it on top of the black line, and here I got a good color that's dark enough to accomplish, actually, I think it needs to be lighter. Okay, that one. So it's dark enough to accomplish what the black outline was doing, but it also keeps the inside of the character separate from the outside. It's a lot easier to now see the body. So there's a black outline here, and I would remove that too. And actually check this out. You have it super dark, but it might even look good being lighter, not darker. Actually, I'm gonna put the highlight here like this. You see how these two greens are really close to each other? I think that's kind of pointless. Especially if you're gonna do animations, it's gonna make it really annoying to have all these different colors in the artwork. So, and you can barely see the difference between those two. Here we have the dragon's head, and it's also a different color than the body. I don't really get some of the shading in the head here. For example, this part right here probably shouldn't be shaded as harshly as it is. I would shade just the bottom of it here. You see that? So that way the head still looks kind of round, and we can still add that shading technique that I was using earlier near the edge like this, but I'm not gonna put it near the top here because I'm trying to emphasize that the top there gets a lot of lighting. I'm even gonna do that, remove it on the other side. And then you have these little, looks like little like spikes on the head. You see this line going down the center? Something like that. Since this one here is the same color as the shading, this is where we could add a black outline around that last little nub. I hope you guys understood kind of the technique I used here, but as you can see, we have a highlight and we have an outline color, but the outline color is not black. And I don't know if the eye needs this black outline. I think it looks better without it. The reason I think it looks better without it is because now it doesn't look like there's different pieces to the eye. Remember that a black outline always separates objects. It makes things look like they're separate. Like for example, this line right here, separates these two fingers. So for example, here in the tail, these two are the same object. So what I would do is I would just use color there. I hope you see what I meant there, where there didn't need to be an outline there, and the colors can just fade from one to the other. See the shading here? It makes the arm look really stiff and straight. So what we can do is we can round it out a little bit more, and now it'll make the arm look rounder. And you see how this line right here is really straight too? With shading, if I shade here, all of a sudden the arm looks a little bit rounder. I think that this line going in here is what makes the arm look kind of awkward. I would actually make it go in the opposite way, that way, so it looks more like a shoulder. However, I think that it's not necessary to have it bend in as much. And another way we can kind of like separate it is by having just sort of a glare there in that piece of arm. Notice real quick that we could have some shading under the head. The head is pretty big, so it should probably have some shading. The shoulder here doesn't need to be detached. It can be connected, but I think if this whole area is shaded darker, then it makes it look like the shoulder is protruding out of the body a little bit more. An easy way to make things look like they're protruding more is to make them brighter than the background. So here you can see that the arm is brighter than the background. Here's that body color thing though. I'm gonna switch it to that color. Here again, we could do a texture. A really easy way to do a texture is just to do a little bit of cross hatching like that. And I kind of like to add highlights like that sometimes. It looks pretty cool, I think, right? So the wing is gonna attach probably to the back, but here it looks like it's almost attaching to the neck. The neck looks kind of odd here. I think that there's this like tiny little sliver here next to the head. I'm not sure what that is. I guess this is supposed to be like the jaw, and that's like the back of the head. And then I'm gonna curve this sort of up a little bit. This looks kind of wonky to me, so I'm going to start curving it a little bit more like this, you know, kind of like a chest sticking out a little bit. Okay, so this cute little smile is pretty awesome, but I don't think it really makes sense in regards to the jaw. Like the jaw would be here if that was the mouth. You see what I'm saying? So if this is the jaw, then I'm pretty sure then the mouth would like extend to here. You know, this is where the mouth would be if this whole thing is the jaw. So the mouth of this dragon would actually look a little bit more like this, I'm thinking. And this nostril, we can move it up because the head's a bit at an angle. So that nostril can move up, and I think we can remove this. The nose, right, the tip of it could be and probably should be a little bit brighter. I would kind of even make the tip of the nose protrude a little bit, stick out a little bit, so that way it makes it look a little bit more like a lizard, like it doesn't have a super round head. I don't think we even need to show the other nostril because it's almost around the corner there. And now we got a cute little mouth here. I think some teeth would be nice. We recently released Dwarves on Steam, and it's coming to consoles as well. If you want to support the channel and play a pixel art game, please give Dwarf a try. I'll love you for it. I'm gonna make them a little bit yellow. Just a little bit yellow, because they look almost too shiny. Same thing with like the claws. They look great, but maybe adding a little bit of grayish yellow into them, it makes them look kind of more natural. See, something like that. And you could You could use it for shading, and it'll make it look a little bit more natural. It'll look a little bit less cartoonish if you shade with colors like that. I would go even darker, but I think you guys get the point in regards to that. And so, oh, super quick, something that could be pretty fun is doing a highlight on this as well. So for example, if we just add a couple of dots here on this part of the body, all of a sudden it starts having a texture. I don't really like that though. I don't really like it. Maybe it could be, maybe just a clean highlight would look better. Like that, you know? Here, and maybe here, and maybe here. And I think on the head, we could also add a highlight just to give it some more form. Oh, I could actually use this green. So for example, right here would be a good spot to highlight that these are round. These horns. You see what I mean? Makes them look a little bit rounder now that they have a highlight there. And if you wanted them to look sharp, then you could create a brighter color in there. Like for example, if I put white here, all of a sudden, now that they're reflective, it starts making them look a lot sharper. But I don't think we need to make them that reflective. It did look pretty good though. I won't go all the way to white, but just a little bit of reflection here and there at the top will make those look like they're a little bit sharper. The shape of this, I think, is a little bit off. I think them being a little bit more pointy would look better. Since there is a part here of the head where it looks like the front and the back of the head, I would just shade the back of the head completely a darker color like that. Because remember what we did here with the arm, where in the foreground it's brighter. You want to do that with like parts of the face as well. So if there's parts of the face that are like the back of the head or whatever, just shade them darker. Shade here to emphasize the brow. So check this out. Without even doing outline, just with shading, I've emphasized that there's a brow here. You guys see it? We emphasize that brow. And if I add even more shading in the middle here like this, look at the face. It's getting more shape. It doesn't look as flat. And if I add a highlight right here near the top, it'll make it look even rounder. And I think that would actually be a pretty good look. Yeah, check it out. And then since this brow is sticking up so much, we would want to make the one on this side look like it's protruding a little bit. So what I did here is I created a small bend. You see that? And we can even add that highlight right there, so that way it emphasizes that it's bending. I think less teeth will make the dragon look cuter. Wow, that was extremely challenging, but I think we did some decent teeth here. I think less teeth is more, and I tried to put more detail into the teeth, so that way they look sharper. Because when I just had the two pixels side by side, they didn't really look sharp. And if we're gonna have these giant claws on this dragon, I think it should probably have some big teeth as well. I think I pointed out kind of the biggest things that improved this artwork. Don't forget to send me your pixel art so I can critique it, and I'll see you guys next time. A Dev Live!